Welcome to Who Won the Week. I'm Matt Ulrich, media analyst at EDO. I am joined by Will Price, VP Business Partnerships at EDO. We're here to talk. Let's talk a little bit of Masters this week, Will.
Yeah, I wore green in honor of the Masters, but I think like a lot of people this weekend, I was tuned in whether I was sitting on the couch or had it playing in the background. I think Masters dominated our TV in our house.
Now, do you wear the green jacket while you're watching the broadcast, or do you just put that on after at the end?
My golf game does not allow me to come anywhere near a green jacket, so
Let
no
alone
green
a
jacket in
green.
our house.
Let alone a
Yeah,
green, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but it was a great Masters. Scotty
Yeah.
Scheffler, a man of principles who said he would walk off the course if his wife went into labor. There was part of me that was really hoping to see him be in the lead on the back nine and really
I
commit
was
to that, but thankfully he didn't have to.
I
Uh,
was I was wondering what hole that like
uh,
if you're on 18, you just finish out, right? But if you're on 16, does he withdraw? Like I was trying to do that math in my head, the whole back nine, and like what happens here.
yeah, what's
Um,
the line? What's the line
right.
where you actually drop the sticks and walk off the course? But yeah, thankfully he didn't have to. But there was part of me that was wondering how committed is he to that statement? But a bold thing to say. But a great 4 days of golf.
Yeah, and I know from like an advertising perspective, the way the ad load is for the Masters, there's really just three advertisers. So this year it was Mercedes-Benz, IBM, AT&T. And those advertisers run the vast majority of ads on Saturday, Sunday. I'm not sure about Thursday and Friday, but definitely with the CBS broadcast on Saturday and Sunday. So it's really this like takeover strategy, or as much of a takeover that I can really think of in a live sports events. What's your take on the takeover, Will?
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy, but from our side, looking at the engagement, limited advertisers, tons of space to really tell a full brand story. Mercedes-Benz absolutely crushed it. There was, as you walked and watched the coverage, you saw tons of Mercedes-Benz spots, but for them, it paid off. Just looking at their engagement volume, the pure impact of
Okay.
their presence in the Masters, they drove 4 times the amount of search volume activity as their presence in the college football national championship game. And again, with those multiple airings, they can tell a full brand story. They were running 5 different creatives. They were promoting design through the Maybach electric vehicle, like creating that halo effect. They were touting performance with the EQE being the most powerful AMG SUV that they've ever created. They were touting comfort with their infotainment system. They get to really tell a full rounded story of who Mercedes-Benz is. So they can appeal to the performance enthusiasts, the design enthusiasts, the people that want to be comfortable and relax in their Mercedes-Benz. I think, we all sort of got Mad Men nostalgia just hearing John Hamm talk so much over the
Yeah.
weekend.
Right.
But it was, it really, really paid off for them. And their airings in the Masters during the CBS coverage were 228% more effective than their own average in live sports over the past year. So when they have to go back and defend that decision of was our sponsorship in the Masters, did it pay off? I mean, it did in a big way. And they actually did some really cool things offline too. So if you're a Mercedes-Benz owner, they were pushing Masters imagery to your vehicle, which is sort of an interesting way of sort of
Oh,
connecting
really?
the dots. And in one of their spots that they were promoting their autonomous driving feature, they do a really good job of weaving in contextual messaging into their work,
Yep.
where they showed a driver not touching the steering wheel, cruising down the road, watching golf on the infotainment system. So a really cool showcase. I think they created a lot of curiosity around their brand with new vehicles, EV messaging, and some really cool features. So really well done for Mercedes-Benz.
And it sounds like they drove impact. So I just to summarize those two EDO stats, I'm trying to make sure I get them down. So it's they drove 4 times the volume with these airings during the Masters as the college football national championship game. So if you we take the spikes and we say this amount is ad driven. If we take the ad driven engagement impact, that is more than the college football national championship game over the course. I mean, more airings, but still greater impact.
That's right.
Um, if that sounds right. And then the other one, you said 228% more effective than Mercedes-Benz's live sports average. And so that's based on engagement rate. So that means a viewer who watched a Mercedes ad during the Masters, 228% more likely to engage with Mercedes, to search for Mercedes than like their the average viewer of a Mercedes ads during live sports. Did I get those two right?
Yeah, nailed it, Matt. So when they're looking across different live sports environments to understand
Yep.
how effective, how engaged this audience, the Masters is an incredibly engaged audience for the brand. So they should be very pleased with their sponsorship of that.
Well, I could definitely get on board with some autonomous driving and watching the Masters while the car does the work for me. I feel like it's good to get people more and more comfortable as the technology improves and I guess adoption kicks off. And I know you mentioned right the word sponsorship. Something that I know we've been talking about a little bit is like the Scotty Scheffler sponsorship. So he has TaylorMade, he has Titleist, I think he has Nike as well. And I think what's interesting is right there's three brands actually being advertised during commercials, and then there's additional brands, mostly golf, but I think you see like MasterCard for Max Homa, a few others, but you see these brands being advertised just via the gear. And what EDO has done is we have been able to do some studies that show that viewers actually in just really only in key moments, but in key moments of big tournaments, viewers will take that Titleist ball shot or that Nike swoosh shot, and they will actually search for the brands being advertised via these sponsorships on the golfers. So I thought that was really interesting too. And I don't think we've done it yet, but it's interesting that we can try to quantify that using the EDO data.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting when brands are wondering what's the effect of having their golfers, their sponsored athletes, wear their brands. What is the viewer response? And like you mentioned, Matt, we see the engagement. I think an interesting example is Tiger Woods.
All right. Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
coverage of Tiger Woods weaned over the weekend, right? But around Thursday, we saw a spike for his new brand, Sunday Red,
Yep.
which probably unfortunate for that brand isn't on sale, but they're building pre-orders now. But we saw the spike in people searching and seeking out Sunday Red. Obviously, the GOAT Tiger Woods wearing his brand, showcasing it on the master stage is going to create a lot of interest for that brand and have people go online and seek it out. So, yeah, we saw that spike early on, but we saw it sort of wean over the weekend as there was less Tiger Woods coverage.
Because I saw a lot of Tiger like Saturday or Friday, and then a little bit Saturday, and I don't think I even saw the red if he was even wearing it on Sunday. But I know the brand was impacted just by him making that cut and that record he broke about most cuts in a row.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
the 100th round for Tiger. So yeah, he rocked the Sunday Red, the actual Sunday Red. But yeah, interesting to see that viewers sought out his brand. So I think it was a great showcase for them. Obviously, they would love to have Tiger more covered in later in the weekend, but still a great story for Scotty Scheffler.
I'm curious to see that Sunday Red advertising strategy and how that plays out once their products become available, and if that gets more widely distributed. And then I think separate from the Masters, I just want to talk about SNL really quick because I feel like we can't stop talking about Caitlin Clark. We're addicted here on Who Won the Week, and she was on Weekend Update. It was pretty funny. Did you see it?
Yeah, I love that she leaned into it.
Yeah.
I think it's another example of Caitlin Clark cutting into culture, going beyond sports, knowing that her presence is bigger than sports. It's we know what she's done for women's basketball and the attention she's brought to it. It'd be interesting to see what's coming out of last night's WNBA draft, where she obviously went number one. But it's just great to see her sort of leaning into the humor and the jokes that were made about her over the past year.
Yeah, and I know it's I know we have some stats on the advertising. So SNL being a really great advertising environment. After the writers' strike in the fall, episode one came back, and that was Pete Davidson hosted this past fall. And that episode, I think, was the most effective in years based on engagement rate and EDO's data. It's like 102% more engaging each ad on average than the average SNL episode. So that was really interesting. I know that SNL's continued to perform well, and I'm curious to see because I haven't checked it out, but I'm curious to see which advertisers ran during this weekend's episode, and if any of them may have taken advantage of be like airing during the WNBA or like any
Yeah.
synergies with Caitlin Clark or any synergies with the Barbie movie, given that Ryan Gosling was hosting. So curious, cool to see, and curious to check out more.
Yeah, I think that's what's great about EDO data is that we can see where that Caitlin
Yep.
Clark effect that we've talked about, how far it extends, and looking at her presence and the impact she makes outside of basketball programming. So,
Yep.
yeah.
And then I think to our audiences, please check out EDO.com. We have insights, those SNL insights. I know there's a lot of new exciting stuff coming out this month. If you have any questions on anything specific we've talked about, reach out to us, and we'll really appreciate your time. And we'll have to go get green jackets for next year's episode. How about that?
Sounds good. Got to work on the golf game, but
Yeah.
it's more off the tee, but we'll get there. Thanks, Matt, for having me.
Thank you.